So I figured I would take y'all along with me. We realized a few days ago that we were running low on fire cider. I thought we had a whole nother jar of it in our pantry, and we don't. So I need to restock before we run out. We started using fire cider in 2020 because we were researching ways to boost our immunity and help us through that dreaded C word. And fire cider is one of the things that we stumbled across, and me and my husband have fell in love with its benefits. It can help with heartburn. Like I said, it boosts your immunity. It can help with leg cramps and stomach issues, and sore throats is usually what we drink it for, or like when you get the tickle in the back of your throat from all of the stuffy runny nose. We absolutely love this. There are tons of different recipes. You can do a quick Google search if you want to read more about it. This is a great book by Rosemary Gladstar, and I scooped it up off Amazon, like I said, back a few years ago when we were researching. So I'll link it below. And if you're over on TikTok, I realized they had this in the TikTok shop as well. So I'll link it over there as well when I make that video. Last year I made it a little bit different. Every year I think I make it different, and it's kind of just based off of what I can find in the store. We have one major grocery store here, so if I can't find it in the grocery store, I'm not like running to the next town over, which is an hour basically away, to get the ingredients to make an entire recipe. So I just gather what I can at the grocery store and make it off of that. Every year I use something a little bit different. We didn't like onions in ours. A lot of recipes call for raw onions. We felt like the raw onions overpowered all of the other flavors, and I get that the onions, there's a health benefit to the onions, but me and my husband do not like raw onions, and when something tastes like a raw onion, we didn't want to drink it. So now I just omit them and leave them out. Last year I used cinnamon sticks, which I could not find in our grocery store today. And what else did I use that I'm not using this year? Thyme. I used thyme last year, and I'm not going to use it this year. We just felt like the flavor, this isn't supposed to be what it tastes like, but if something's overpowered with a flavor that you do not like, you're not going to want to drink it. So we're doing mint this year because I'm going to replace the thyme with mint and see if that kind of balances for our taste buds better. I wanted to use pomegranate seeds this year because I've been researching their benefits. Unfortunately, our grocery store did not have pomegranate seeds already out of the pomegranate, and I didn't want to do that task today. So I substituted for cranberries, and I think it'll work just fine. Every year I always put oranges, limes, and lemons in mine. That's a given every single year. And then fresh ginger I use every year. And I typically use turmeric, but there wasn't even a sign where the fresh turmeric was. So we're gonna skip turmeric this year. So that's all I'm using this year. You can do garlic, like I said, cinnamon sticks, onions, peppers you can add into them. I did use peppers last year because I still had some in my garden. I'm out of peppers this year. My pepper plants just did not produce this year for whatever reason. And then, like I said, rosemary, thyme, any of the herbs that you, like I said, research, figure out the benefits of the things. There are 101 recipes in this book, and I'm sure if you Googled, you could find more. So let's get to putting it together. So I make mine in this gigantic mason jar. I think it's the 1 gallon one I got mine at Target a few years ago. It has a metal screw-on lid. It works great, and I just can reuse it from year to year. So that's what we're gonna put all of our stuff in as we cut it up. So I'm gonna put my cranberries in first just because they typically tend to float, and I don't want everything to float to the top of this. And then I'm going to put my mint in because it would float as well, and the oranges will help hold that down. The next thing that I'm gonna do is get my food processor out and process this ginger. That way I don't have to just sit here and chop it all up. And I'm not even gonna remove the skins. So let me get out my food processor. chopped up, I'm just going to add it into the jar. Again, I kind of layer things based off of if it's going to float or not, because the citrus fruit will hold it all down. And it always looks so pretty when it's layered in the jars. I love it. All right, so next we're just going to cut up the citrus fruit and add it in. You can add the ends in. I just skip them because I want it to look pretty when it's in the jar. I just thinly slice them. And as I'm sitting here doing this, I'm going to change my mind and I am going to add garlic. So let me go grab some garlic cloves. If you don't have one of these garlic peelers, it's amazing. This is just the OXO one, and it literally takes it right off. This is garlic that I grew in my garden last fall and winter. That out of the way for later. I'll clean it up when I'm done. And now we're just going to add the rest of the, spread those around so it looks pretty in the jar. Now we're just going to add the rest of the citrus fruit. I'll get rid of powder. I did rinse and clean all of this before I started this. That might have been an important thing to say. Because you don't want the nasty peels to be I also meant to look and see if I had cinnamon sticks up in my pantry, because I may have had some left over from something else. If I do, I'll add them in also. I don't know why the grocery stores down here are so hard to keep things in stock. looks so festive and pretty. I always love making these. All right, let me see if I got cinnamon sticks. So once you've got everything in your jar, you're just going to cover it all with apple cider vinegar. You want to make sure that it's the apple cider vinegar with the mother. That is an important thing. I always grab all of mine at Aldi because it seems to be a lot cheaper. I also save these jars because at the end of the 3 to 4 weeks is usually what I let mine sit. When I strain all the vinegar and the stuff off, or when I strain all of the stuff off of the vinegar, I will pour it back into these jars. I'm still having grip issues with my hands. Better, but not completely out of it yet. Let's see if I can get it. I might have to put a hole with it. Don't do this at home. Usually try not to do stuff like this without my husband home because I know I can't open lids anymore. Really slow because I can't pull the plastic out the way I had to open it. Maybe the top on that other one was just stuck because that one wasn't so bad. And you're just wanting to make sure everything's covered. It's not like fermenting where it needs to be held down under, but it will help prevent it from maybe growing mold. I'm not sure that it would though because it's all apple cider vinegar. Like I said, I just saved these because now I just used a piece of parchment paper to keep it from touching the jar lid because it could cause it to corrode or rust. You'll set this in a cool, dark place to sit for 3, 4 to 6 weeks. It just kind of depends. Every recipe usually says anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. So I just kind of do like 3 to 4 weeks. I go through every couple of days and just shake it a few times, just turn it upside down a few times. Once it reaches the 4 to 6 weeks, you will strain the vinegar off of all of this fruit. I just use a strainer and a cheesecloth, and then I pour it back into my empty apple cider vinegar bottles, and that's what we use to keep it in. I keep mine in the refrigerator because it's easier to take it cold. If you've never tried apple cider vinegar. It burns when it goes down and I feel like a dragon. I feel like it's coming out my nose, my ears, my mouth, everything. You can also add honey into it, half honey, half fire cider, and it'll make it a little bit sweeter and a little bit easier to take as well. You can do less honey if you want a more fire cider. It's completely up to you. This is like one of those things that has lots of room to make your own decisions. Research the different things that you can put in the jar and their benefits and adjust it to what fits you. Again, this recipe book has a ton of recipes and it explains to you what each one is for. So I just kind of take things from each recipe that I like and make my own. You'll have to tell me what you put in yours, and you'll have to tell me if you try this.